Hello survivors, this is Darius Torana and we are here on Palworld doing another 100 days run. Now, one thing I will say about this run is it is going to be a deathless run again. I am trying to do this with no deaths of me or pals. My goal for the run is to beat the first 5 tower bosses, because when I started this run, that's how many I thought there was. I also want to catch all the initial 126 pals. Again, I kind of made a mistake because I didn't realize that the raid boss pals are also in that. Now that I've wasted a ton of time talking about that, let's talk about what I did day 1. Now, unfortunately, because I took so long talking about the rules, day 1 is... explanation is on day 2. That's okay though. I basically just grabbed some chests, got a lamb ball cot, got a chickpea cot, and started up my base. I did also equip myself, as you can see. Day 2, I started working on my Palsphere production, as well as checking out a daydream, a couple daydreams that did not despawn from the day. So I went ahead and attempted to catch them. It did not end super well. While it didn't end in my death, it does end in the death of one of my pals already, because I brought the remaining daydreams back to my base to try to get some assistance, because I didn't want to die. And unfortunately, one of my lamb balls that was working in the base ended up dying. I don't even have the butcher knife yet, so I can't butcher him, so I just name it Butcher. Butcher's sacrifice is not in vain, however, as I caught all 4 daydreams, so I am doing pretty good on that front. I then catch Gumos, T-Font, Liftmonk, and Cremus to work on my berry production. Cremus actually doesn't have anything to do with berry production, but I still caught some, because, you know, leveling and needing Cremuses for the other goal. Day 3 mostly consisted of me working on the base, so that was what I did for most of the day. However, I did go explore to find some more pals, and I found a gigantic T-Font event. Now, T-Font is generally a passive runaway pal, so I figured, hey, I'll hit one, most of them run away, I'll catch, awesome. Yeah, apparently in events, they don't do that. They just come after you. So after barely escaping with my life, I end up being a little more strategic about dealing with the T-Font event, and I catch my fill of T-Fonts. Day 4, I get my cleaver. So, I go ahead and butcher the pals I have lost so far. Now, that being said, I've only talked about one. I did miss some footage, and it's super unfortunate, because I had caught a Tansy, and I had him working in the base. As I had him working in the base, a Mammorest walked up. It got the exclamation point, turned to the Tansy, and just stomped on him. And so I quickly put all my pals away, other than the Tansy who had just died, and ran away because I was like, oh, this Mammorest is going to attack everything. Nope, he just walks away. My pals and I then deal with our first raid, which we take care of fairly simply. It really wasn't that big of an issue, so after that we just go to bed for day 4. Important stuff on day 5, I found a huge egg, and then I went in to do my first cave. Now this is the first cave I have ever found on Palworld, so I know it's a pretty easy cave to get through. I start off just mining some stuff, and when I get to the boss, it is a Gumos who I catch, and then I open up the chests. So day 6 was me going ahead and taking on the Alpha Chillet fight. I was able to capture Alpha Chillet, and then I spent the rest of the day working on my base and ending the day having a new house and some new areas to make stuff. Now for day 7, I really wanted to get a Dire Howl, because Dire Howl I was planning on having be my main mount throughout the game. Throughout my 100 days, just because it really fit the aesthetic of my character well. So I figured I should probably get one early so that I can, you know, train him up all the way through. It took almost all day. These were the first dire howls I found. I then found a lot throughout the day, like throughout that evening, but holy crap, it took me so long to just find dire howls. Now, after building my dire howl saddle on day 8, I decided to head back up the Plateau of Beginnings and jump off the side so that I can go to the kind of hidden cave off to the side there. Inside, I found a Kativa boss, and I captured that. And finally, to end the day out, my egg hatched, and it was a pen king, which honestly is huge. So day 9, I start off fighting another Pal Tamer, and in Paldea, or whatever this place is called, games are for keeps, so I kill him and take his Bristilla. Then I get to Pen King, where I have had issues in the past, and after having some issues this time, I make a very tactical retreat, in which I go outside, I heal up, come back in, and then accidentally kill him, so I decide when I get home I'm going to make myself a Ring of Mercy. For day 10, normally this would be the day I go fight Zoe and Grisbold. Normally I've gotten 220 before this, and I've got my armor and everything, and I'm ready. This time I'm feeling a little slow. I had just barely hit level 20 and didn't have the correct armor, so I was not ready for Zoe and Grisbold yet. So I spent the day catching pals, leveling up, and getting my armor built. And then, lo and behold, I found a lucky Lamball, which was pretty awesome. Beyond that, however, I spent the evening crafting up some metal armor from I think it was a blueprint I had found, but I crafted up some metal armor to prep for the Zoe and Grisbold fight and get ready for day 11. Day 11 had me going out to face off against Zoe and Grisbold. However, on the way there was a Dire Howl event and an Alpha Dire Howl in the middle. I was so excited. It was absolutely nuts. After a bunch of dodging, weaving, I almost died a couple times. I finally caught the Alpha, and I, drew some of the other ones out. I picked them off one by one. I don't think I caught every single one of them, but I got pretty close, and I did really, really well, and finally finished off the event catching the last one. And then after getting all healed up, I went in to go fight Zoe and Grisbold. Now, my plan going in here was using my 2 daydreams as, assault things on the side of me, because they're always out and can't be hurt, and then I would have another pal out helping, and so I'd basically have a team of 4 total beings out, myself, my 2 daydreams, and whatever pal I had out. And, they didn't perform as well as I wanted them to. It is the last time I really use this strategy. I'm not a real big fan of the Daydream strategy. I've been told it's super broken, but they just do not attack very fast. We still got the job done, though, and I decided I would head home, and lo and behold, on the way home, there was another Dire Howl event. I performed a lot better with this one, and got it done, and went home to end the day, and then I got raided. This day was so eventful. Now, day 12, I got the grapple gun, specifically so I could do things like this, where I grapple and then I use a pal to just zip around the map. It's a super fast way to travel, and it is my favorite way to travel. It's actually why I often don't have a flyer with me. Now, later on in this run, I will say I do pick up a flyer because vertical movement sometimes can be an issue even with this. But I spend the rest of the day literally mining, making a feed bag, and making my condenser. It was a very dull day. almost as dull as day 13. Day 13, I looked for the desert, and I didn't even record the day because it took all day to get there, and I didn't feel like doing that. Day 14, I went out to the desert and caught a bunch of dig toys so that I could set up my mining base. I caught, I want to say, 6 dig toys. I proceeded to work through the night to get my mining base set up so that I could start doing heavy metal production. After completely overhauling what I had done the night before and completely restarting from scratch and making the final touches to my mining base, I decided to go after Catris for day 15. And it actually went pretty well. I mean, other than the part where I almost died. But we'll just ignore that and say it went pretty well, and in the end I ended up catching Catris, which is fantastic because she is a great worker for the base. Day 17, I decided I needed to start getting some sulfur, and one of the easiest places that I know to get sulfur is next to the Azeroth boss, so I figured I'd take them on as well. So we head out there and I fight Azeroth. It does not go super well, but I do end up coming out victorious, surviving. I did have to run away for a little bit and come back though. Now, day 18, I decide to upgrade my weaponry, and finally come night, I'm ready to go and take on one of my favorite pals, Bushi. So I go in there, and honestly, after what is probably the easiest Bushi fight I've ever done, like, I'm always having trouble fighting this pal, I'm able to catch him. Day 18, I went out to the Wilderness Sanctuary 1, where, although you can get caught and arrested, I really needed to catch a couple pals out there. I caught Azeroths, I caught Penkings, I caught Valets, I caught Eikthyr Terra, which is the one I was specifically after, and then I got the heck out of there. I would be back eventually to catch Griswold, though. Day 19, I took out Chillet again and then headed out to the desert where there was a cave. Inside the cave, I found a Cognito boss, which they're pretty cool pals, so I was pretty excited about getting the alpha version of that. And I caught all 3 of them in the boss room. Day 20 saw me accidentally kill the King Paka boss, as well as getting my 10-day update. Now, to say I was worried about the Lily fight would be an understatement. I already feel behind, and Lily is where I lost on my last 100 days. I died on day 26, I think it was. So I really wanted to be prepped and ready for this fight. So I went around and fought a bunch of bosses, went through a bunch of pal taming sprees, and on the very last day of my leveling spree, I actually found a supply drop, which was super useful because it had a double barrel shotgun blueprint in there that I could make, so I got that built up in preparation all for the Lily fight. I did want to make sure that on day 27 I would be ready for it, and honestly, I felt about as ready as I could. Now, day 27 did have me fighting Lily. However, starting off the day, I finished off the shotgun. I got over to Lily and realized I had not checked my armor, just like last time. So, learning from my mistakes, I ran back to base real quick, got my armor fully repaired and ready, and I just decided that this was it. It was time. I was really nervous, and but I mean, I was as ready as I would be. If I lost here, I would just have to start over. So I got started on the Lily fight, and it wasn't the hardest fight I've ever done. And especially now that I had Warsec being able to increase my defense, and Bushi being able to damage her, I did finally end up taking Lily down. I decided to stick around for a little bit to do some pal taming, and almost got killed by the cold. On day 28, I took my Vanworm over to the Wildlife Sanctuary because I had been told that you cannot get caught while on a flying pal, because it's only legal to step foot on the island there. That is a lie. I was trying to catch a pal directly in front of one of the officers and became wanted, so I flew up in the air to lose the heat and then went home. Now around day 29, I had heard about this cool little trick you can do with gobfins where you can get a bunch of them, condense them all up, and it is the highest DPS you can do in the game. I was really excited about that, so I started trying to catch gobfins, forgetting how stupidly scary this area is. Almost died, and so I went into the cave and dealt with Alpha Floppy instead. It was a lot easier, but I did get my gobfins. So for the next 20 days, I've kind of made a decision. I'm going to be grinding really hard to get the materials and then to just try to get as high a level as I can. So for day 30 to 39, I'm just grinding materials basically. I spend so much time working on that, and then I realize mostly I just need to get some more dig toys, so I get some more dig toys, and then I realize that the best way to get PAL fragments is going to be just getting my mining base better set up, so I do that, and then I spend the rest of these days working on a breeding base to try to get some very condensed Vixies so that I can get free PAL spheres, which do end up being useful. I do kind of finish up everything a little sooner than what I necessarily wanted to do, and so on day 39 I actually start my PAL catching spree, working on the Mammarest and then just kind of catching whatever. So on day 40 through 49, I worked on level grinding as much as I possibly could. My goal was to be level 55 by the end of this level grind. I don't make that. However, I feel like I do pretty well. I do forget to give an update, and I did not write down what my level was when I first started this, but on day 42, after I had caught a few pals, I was at 87 out of 126, so I don't know exactly how many pals I started with, and also it was around this time that I realized it was in fact counting the different varieties of pals, so that also was a little bit of an issue, but all in all, the level grind went really well, and I ended day 49 having actually beaten quite a few of the bosses around. So starting off on day 50, I was feeling a little bit behind when it came to the tower bosses. However, I was feeling quite ahead when it came to level and PAL deck. Now, what I didn't realize is with the levels, it takes so long to get from like level 50 to 55, and with the PAL deck, that count includes the special types. But on day 50, I went and fought Villette, and then I went and got some pure quartz from up north, and that added another PAL to my PAL deck, and some more quartz for circuit boards. Now, day 51 through 54, not a lot happened, honestly. I felt like I wasted a lot of time. I mostly was just prepping and like waiting for my assault rifles to build and stuff. So I did get my assault rifle built though. I fought Wumpo Baton, and some funny stuff happened during the fight. And I went to the volcanic island to level a little more. Day 55, I attempted the Orzerk and Axel fight. And again, these fights are great. Like, I love the tower fights. They're very thematic, I feel like, and while the tower itself doesn't change at all, honestly, each PAL has such different fighting styles and everything that I do feel like it's a very different fight each time. Now, the complaint that I actually have comes from this fight, actually, because I end up running out of time, and there's no way to escape if you run out of time, unlike other things that are timed on Palworld, and so you just die. It kills you. And I think that's ridiculous. I think it should just kick you out of the tower. So in this no-death run, this death does not count. I was doing really well against him. So after getting my stuff back, I went and grabbed as many noble creatures as I could, and went and did a full shopping day on day 56. And I basically just spent all of day 56 and day 57 working on getting myself re-prepped for the boss to be able to take him on. I did find a better schematic for a better assault rifle, so I made that up, which I knew would help a lot. And beyond that, I just worked on getting the resources and stuff for getting lots of bullets. Now, on day 59, I went off against Orzurk and Axel again. Was I ready? Honestly, I'm not sure. But this time, the battle does go a lot better. I focus a lot more on doing as much damage as I can. And in the end, I do take home the win against Orzurk and Axel, bringing my tower boss count to 4. Now, at some point in the past few days, I had also started breeding up different pals to get new combinations. So I got my pal deck up pretty high, actually. And then on day 61, I went after Verdash. I don't know why I don't have footage of it, but I also had gone after Yormantide in the past day or two. And so, yeah, I have Verdash and Yormantide as well. Day 62, I went and did the boss fight for Siblex, as well as going on a pal catching spree. First in the snowy biome, however, I didn't want to go up to the Astral Mountains, so I didn't have a lot of snow to work with. So in the end, I ended up traveling over to the desiccated desert, which is the big desert, and catching a bunch of pals over there. So I get my pals pretty good. Day 63, I sell an absolute metric ton of pals to get money for ammo for my assault rifle. That's literally basically all I did all day. The only other thing I did during the night, or during the day, is deep into the night I went after the Suzaku boss that is in the desert, and I ended up catching him. Day 64, I did a cave. Unfortunately, the boss was just a flamel. Granted, I could have reset the boss, but honestly, at this point, I just couldn't be bothered. I had had a rough couple of days, and so I was kind of done. Day 65, I just spent buying and selling stuff. It was a really boring day, so I didn't even record it. Day 66, though, I went in for the next boss fight, which was against Phalaris. This one was kind of a rough fight, I'm not gonna lie. I will say, of the boss fights I've done so far, this one is probably my least favorite. I don't like the look of Marcus. I don't love Phalaris as a boss creature. All in all, it just wasn't really my style. However, this was where I really came into the idea of I need to just breed up the rest of the pals that I haven't caught yet, because I had no clue where to even start to look for Phalaris. After a very hard-fought battle, though, I did finally end up getting the victory and taking Marcus and Phalaris down. Day 67 saw us returning to the grind, doing another cave, going after the Elizabeth boss. And then after I beat the Elizabeth boss, I did just basically spend the rest of the day doing infusions with my pals to try and get some space in my pal boxes, because I was starting to run out because I hadn't done too much of that type of stuff. Day 68, I basically just did an Elphadran run and then explored areas that I missed, and on day 69, nothing really happened. Day 70, I actually stopped and counted each of the pals that I was missing from the main pal decks, and I was missing 20, not the 4 that I was saying I was missing. So I knew I still had some work cut out for me. I also knew that I needed to get my leveling back underway, because as of right now, I had in the past like 30 days gained about 4 levels. So I realized, in fact, actually I do have a lot of work ahead of me, even though technically I'm only like, you know, I think 7 levels off of the max, but each of those levels takes a lot of experience to get through. So I went to the snow area and I spent the day up there just getting as many pals caught as I could. Day 71, I spent most of the day kind of waiting around and then decided I was wasting time, so I headed out to go and fight some bosses and just do some random pal catching. The reason I was waiting around is because I was trying to breed up Astagon and Kitsune to get some new pals that I was missing. Day 72, I spent all day selling pals again, and day 73, I headed over to Mount Obsidian, where I knew I had a lot of pals I still needed to catch over there. So I spent the day catching as many as I could, and into the night to try and catch some of the Noct versions. Now, I already had some Anubises from breeding, however, I really wanted to do the boss fight for Anubis because, holy crap, this Anubis pal is crazy cool to fight. Like, highly recommend this boss fight. On day 75, I spent another day selling pals and stuff and getting as much ammunition as I really can, because I knew the next boss fight that I had was going to be quite difficult. Yeah. Day 76, I spent most of the day working on my base, however I did take a little jaunt out to the desiccated desert to catch a bunch of pals out there. Day 77, I head back out to the Mount Obsidian so that I can get some more leveling done. I basically spend both 77 and 78 leveling. At some point, I have caught a Shadow Beak. I feel like I should have put that in my notes when it happened, and I'm beginning to think on day 75. The WH3 is supposed to be like Wilderness Habitat 3 instead of Sanctuary 3. So that's probably the day I caught Shadowbeak. But on day 78, I do run into Palladius and Necromus, so that's fun. I don't fight them, though. I do think about it really hard, though. But I figure, even though, yeah, technically I need to catch them at some point, I don't want my run to end here. So day 79, I decide to go and explore the Astral Mountains a little bit more, as well as continue my, training montage. I do end up actually finding a Frostallion, which is the legendary up in the north area. Remembering the conversation I had with myself about Palladius and Necromus, I ignore it, and I let the intrusive thoughts take over and take a couple shots. I don't know what I was thinking, and I realize it come to my senses real fast in GTFO. I instead go to Lylene Noct, who is much simpler, and I'm able to take her down, bagging me another boss. Day 80, I was feeling pretty decent. I had 20 days left, I had 5 levels and only 16 pals left to get. And of those pals left to get, many of them were like the legendaries and stuff, which I didn't realize were actually in the pal deck to start with. Same with the Bella Noir. So honestly, at this point, my pal deck was effectively done. I had one more boss tower to fight, other than when I realized there were 6 boss towers, not 5, because I know how to count. But for day 80, I went and did a cave to try and get some better schematics, and I went and fought Blazament. Despite my better judgment, day 81 and 82 I spent setting up an oil base. I really had fallen in love with the weird plasma gun thing, so I really wanted one of those. Now, at this part in the game, we have gotten to the very grindy, not super duper fun part of level up, get ready for the next boss. And the next boss I've heard is really hard, so I'm pretty scared. So I just basically do the same thing over day 83 through 87, where I cave, I breed, I level, I catch pals, I get arrested for committing atrocities against pals, I get out of jail, I breed, I cave, I, catch pals, over and over again until I finally feel somewhat prepared. And on day 88, I would basically spend the day purchasing things for my upcoming boss fight, which I'm planning on doing on day 89, because at this point I have decided I am totally going to go for the 6th tower as well. This is the only boss fight that I actually looked up how to beat it, because I was terrified because everyone had told me how hard it was. And I didn't listen to anything that was said in there, really. I just went in with the equipment I had, because as much as I had tried to find some better equipment, I just couldn't. I couldn't find a better assault rifle. I couldn't find better rocket launchers, so I just went in with what I had, hoping I would be able to do it. Fairly early on in the fight, I did realize I'm in trouble, and I probably would not be able to beat him this time. However, running out of time does not count as a death, as we've already stated. It was a little hairy here and there. However, unfortunately for me, there was a large misstep where I dodged to the side and ran into a wall, ending up taking a full-blown blast to the face, and thus ending my run. So I struggled with the decision to finish out the 100 days and just mess around for the last 11 days, which I had started doing, but eventually I decided, you know what, this is supposed to be a no-death run. I'm just going to end it here, and we'll try again next time. Next time, we're going to have more equipment, because we've got the Faybreak update that has dropped, and I am very excited to start my next 100 days to try to get past Victor and Shadowbeak. Last time I made it to Lily, this time I made it to Victor and Shadowbeak. I feel like I am doing an upward progression, and so thank you guys so much for joining me on this crazy, crazy journey. But as always, until next time, keep on surviving.